All right, for this new episode of Beer Time, we're finally back to beer. No more cider, no more seltzer, beer. And this episode is the first time we've had a friend first, viewer second submitted beer, which I'm super excited about. So thank you, Kyle, for sharing this one with me. I have yet to have a single one from this brewery, and as it being a local Atlanta brewery, I've wanted to. So we got Steady Hands Flower Business, a double IPA, so right up my alley, right? And I couldn't find like IBUs for some reason, but the alcohol content's at 9.0. And the description is like hazy orange, just piney, citrusy hops. So like it's really standard double IPA. So hopefully they just do the double IPA properly, right? Like it's pretty milled out at this point. I mean, you can't go wrong. You just stick with the formula, you're good to go. So let's give it a try. See what's going on. Special guest, the Wild Leap Glass, my favorite Georgia brewery down on the Grange. So it's a bit as a colorblind man, a bit more on the orangey to red side than most IPAs are. Like the hops are definitely there. It smells good. Very fresh. See how it goes. Yeah, it's good. It's hoppy. It's really hoppy, but it's somehow really smooth at the same time. Especially for a double at 9.0. I mean, it's not bad. It's kind of different too, because what is it? The Centra hops? Centra? I think they're the main hops. They're used in a lot of IPAs. I'm probably butchering the term. I'll probably post the real term in a second. But like they really punch through everything else, and it's extremely piney. And I like piney, so good on them. It's listed as supposed to be a bit tropical fruit, citrus, and supposedly peach. The peach does not exist in this whatsoever, in my opinion. From my first initial 4 gulps, right? The subtle piney is more than subtle. The citrus is obviously there because it's going to be like citra hops, obviously. So like it's in your face citrus flavor and aroma from the hops themselves. The booziness, though, for it being a 9.0, it's really not that boozy. I guess pretty smooth to go down for a 9.0. Like, you're hard pressed to find a 9.0 that goes down that easy. Like, that's actually shocking and confusing. I don't know how you get a beer that smooth still being 9.0. Like, I enjoy that boozy grip, that punch in the mouth boozy flavor. Like, I'm for it. That's not a turn off for me at all. But when you can get a beer at 9.0, which is pretty high, and not have it taste like a 9.0, have it taste like a standard 5, that's actually pretty impressive. I'm not sure how they pulled it off. It's kind of like, actually, it's like something we don't talk about with IPAs much, is just like the malt and how much malt is involved. But this is actually really malty. Like, really, really malty for a double IPA to still actually get the full body of the malt flavor through and still be this hoppy is really odd, honestly. It's usually one or the other. You're not going to get both. Like, you're hard pressed. Like, eventually the hops are going to outweigh the malt. Or if it's a malty beer, you don't put much hops in because you want it to have that malt push through everything else. But somehow this does both. Like, it's really malty going down. That's not a bad thing. That's kind of a missing characteristic in IPAs nowadays, or the malt is just completely lost. But that's such a key ingredient. I mean, it's literally the key ingredient of beer. It's the base. Like, we've gotten so away from the malt and the quality of the malt and just overpowering it with what kind of hops and like what kind of variants and combinations of hops you can put in it. This is really refreshing as a beer guy, just to know that we can still have IPAs that are super malty. Like, this is actually phenomenal. I know Kyle, the good friend who gave this to me to drink for the channel, he wasn't huge on it. He said it was just kind of okay. I know he's more into like the very citrusy IPAs, and probably not a fan of the maltiness of it. If I had to guess, knowing him, it's probably the maltiness that kind of turned him off to it. But it's actually really malty, but still all those hops come through really cleanly. That's really outrageous, honestly. And as a first impression for this brewery, like, this is knocking it out of the park. Like, I've always seen Steady Hand like here and there, like on the shelves. The local grocery store I go to generally has one or two other beers there, but it doesn't get talked about a lot for some reason, or at least like within my local beer group community here. Maybe we're a bit too south to really care. I don't know what it is. So I'm not really well antiquated with Steady Hand, but if this is a testament for the kind of beer they produce, this is good. This is on the right track. If everything is up to par with this, it's got to be incredible. I got to get more Steady Hand after this. Holy cow! Yeah, super malty going in. You get all those hops on the exhale. I mean, with it being a double IPA, obviously it's going to be chock full of all that hoppy aroma goodness. And me personally, the hops come through on the tail end. But it's pretty warm with how malty it is. It's got all the hops you would want out of a double. I've had some double IPAs that are a bit hoppier, but they also instantly lose any of that maltiness to it, which I'm kind of getting tired of. Like, malts are so important in beer. Like, what malt you use, how much, like where it was from, what strand it is, all that good. Like, you got to have a good malt first. You can go crazy with the hops, but if you don't have a good solid malt, it's not going to be a standout excellent beer. Like, that malt body is so important to a beer. I mean, you can do all the crazy, wonderful things with hops and fruits and flavoring and all that. If the malt is off, the beer is not going to knock it out of the park. It's not going to be that 10 out of 10 beer with the base being a bit off. You can do a lot with the hops, a lot with the flavoring and the fruit or the whatever crazy thing you're going for. But you got to have your basics down first, and the basics being malt every time. Like, no matter what you're making, the malt's got to be on key. It's really exciting to have a local double IPA where you can still taste the malt and the quality of the malt. That's been a long forgotten key, I believe. I think we've become so obsessed with hops lately that the malt's forgotten. And this beer is a key, good reminder of how important high quality, good malt is in beer. Any of the fruitiness that they're advertising, even though it's all been listed as very subtle, it's not really there. Like, if you're looking for a really citrus heavy or fruity heavy IPA, like especially like hazy or whatever it might be, this is not the one to go to. This is just a very solid, somehow very malty double IPA. But what more do you want? You have the malt, you got your hops. It's smooth. It's 9% and it tastes like it's about 6.5. Honestly, one of the best local IPAs I've had in a long time. Now, I prefer for the very fruity IPAs. They're fun. They're unique. Like you can do a lot. It's just like a glass of flavor every time. I know like Wild Leap's Chance IPA is kind of what got me started on IPAs in the first place, and it was very fruity. There's a lot of like mango and citrus in that, and I grew from that into other fruity IPAs, and then eventually now like straight up IPAs and double IPAs are just fine. It doesn't need fruit. Like I can appreciate a good hop. But this can like take you a full step back from what you've been drinking and realize how good a simple perfected beer can be without all the extras. It doesn't need the bells and whistles if it does the basics right. And this is it. Like this is what a double IPA should be. It doesn't need the gimmick. It doesn't need the fancy label claiming for some crazy exotic whatever. It's just solid double IPA, which is what it's supposed to be, and this was advertised as. Now it does say that there's supposed to be some peach. I don't really get it. The tropical fruit, there's that citrus bit to it, but that's from the hops themselves, like with all the citra hops and everything else. It's piney, which I like piney, so that's perfect for me. But like the citrus isn't really there. It's just the hops are citra hops, so it's fine. It's piney. The peach is not there. Just take that off the can. The label, the advertisement doesn't need to be there. Honestly, it might turn away more people than it would turn on. But this is excellent, would be the word. Which is odd because, as I said, as it was submitted from Kyle, it was just kind of mediocre, okay. Tell me what you think about it. Like let's talk about it later once you've finally tried it and got a full retrospective of it. And I'm personally obviously putting this way higher than he has. 'Cause this is good. This is just doing all the basics. Just once you forget the basics, you've kind of lost a lot. And this hits all the basics perfectly. And it's really impressive. Like, I've never had their beer at all. So this being their first one I've tried is obviously a good note for me, right? Like, I'm going to obviously try a few more of theirs. Yeah. That's a damn good beer. If I have to get that's a 9 out of 10 minimum. For an IPA, that's what I'm looking for. Like, the hops are outrageous. It's a double. I get it. But at the same time, you still get the malt through it. The booziness is low. Even though, I know I say I like booziness, but for it to be a 9.0 and to not taste like that is just magic. I don't know how they pulled that off. But this is actually a phenomenal beer. I will be buying some of this for myself because I have seen it in the stores. Steady Hand Beer Company. Flower business. It's got all those citra hops you're looking for. The peach they're talking about, I don't know where they're getting that from. I might be missing it because I drank like a bottle of wine before this. But I really can't think of a single thing that will make this beer better. This is a solid, just basic double IPA. And if that's all you want, this is where you want to go. What more do you want? Solid, basic double IPA. Perfection. And if you have tried it, let me know what you think. I might be rating it too high, but this is kind of like the core double IPA of Atlanta. But let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. We'll be doing more beer. I got tons lined up. Just wait. We got some surprises too. Have a good weekend.